Hello, you are watching Shalom World News. I'm Rory McLennan coming to you from Glasgow, Scotland. Here are the latest headlines from around the world. Pope Francis issued a resolute call to combat and eradicate human trafficking, aligning himself wholeheartedly with many individuals worldwide. His message, released on Thursday to mark the 10th World Day of Prayer and Awareness Against Human Trafficking, emphasised the timeless opportunity to take action against this injustice. Under the theme Journeying in Dignity, Listen, Dream, Act, the Church underscored the necessity of collective efforts in defeating human trafficking. This annual observance, initiated by Pope Francis himself in 2015, coincides with the liturgical memorial of St. Josephine Bakhita, who was declared a saint back in 2000, who symbolises resilience and liberation from slavery, encouraging fervent prayer and proactive engagement at all levels of society. Pope Francis emphasised the imperative to mobilise resources and efforts in combating trafficking, warning against complicity through inaction. Israeli forces launched airstrikes in the southern Gazan border city of Rafah on Thursday, where a significant portion of Gaza's population is seeking shelter. This occurred amid ongoing efforts by diplomats to salvage ceasefire negotiations, following Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's rejection of a proposal put forth by Hamas. Despite Netanyahu's dismissing Hamas's terms for a ceasefire in the 4-month-long conflict as delusional, and his vow to continue fighting with victory supposedly within reach, a Hamas delegation, led by senior official Khalil al-Hayya, arrived in Cairo for ceasefire talks with mediators from Egypt and Qatar. White House spokesperson John Kirby expressed his concern, however, emphasising that an Israeli operation in Rafah, without due regard for civilian lives, would be catastrophic, and the United States would not support it. A United Nations-backed panel of experts focusing on children's human rights has urged Russia to prevent any attempts to manipulate school curricula and textbooks to align with the government's political and military agenda, particularly regarding the conflict in Ukraine. The Committee on the Rights of the Child conducted 2 days of hearings in Geneva last month to review conditions in Russia as part of a routine evaluation undergone by all UN member states. Bragi Gudbranson, who is the committee's vice-chair, highlighted concerns over the deaths and injuries of numerous children due to indiscriminate attacks by Russia in Ukraine, while Ukrainian sources report around 20,000 Ukrainian children being forcibly deported to Russia. Russian officials denied such claims. Meanwhile, the Anglican Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, found himself taking refuge in an air raid shelter for nearly 3 hours on Wednesday morning. He was caught in a missile attack during his 5-day visit to Ukraine. The assault claimed the lives of at least 4 people and left many others injured. 35 pro-life organisations have urged the US Congress to step in and make arrangements for autopsies of the remains of 5 late-term aborted babies in Washington, D.C. before the remains are disposed of. The request was made in a letter this week after the secular pro-life group Progressive Anti-Abortion Uprising, who had originally obtained the remains of the aborted babies in March 2022, came to know about the medical examiner's intention to destroy the remains. The letter also urged congressmen to speak out about the 5 innocent unborn infants whose lives were brutally taken within 3 miles of the House chamber. The group's lawyer confirmed on Monday that the Department of Justice had advised the medical examiner to destroy the bodies. After examining over 60 studies on adolescent mental health, the American College of Pediatricians has concluded that transition, puberty blockers, and cross-sex hormones do not provide long-term benefits for the psychosocial well-being of adolescents with gender dysphoria. College President Dr. Michael Ortiguez said that instead of interventions that harm their healthy bodies and lead to lifelong medicalization, young patients experiencing gender dysphoria need assistance in accepting and loving themselves as they are. The paediatricians added that there is no long-term evidence that current gender-affirming medication and surgical protocols benefit mental well-being. They have recommended intensive psychotherapy for the individual and their families to treat the underlying cause of their gender incongruence instead of social affirmation, medical intervention, and surgical mutilation. Pope Francis will declare Argentinian Maria Antonia de Paz y Figueroa, affectionately known as Mama Antula and the Mother of the country, as a saint on February the 11th. That will make her Argentina's first female saint. Mama Antula's journey to sainthood is a testament to her dedication to the marginalised and her advocacy for unity. Living in the 18th century, her strong faith, humility and charitable works set her as a model for living one's faith in the contemporary world. The ceremony will be attended by Argentine President Javier Milei, other political leaders and representatives of the Catholic Church in Argentina. Stephen Green, who's a Christian in the United Kingdom, has declared that he is ready to go to jail rather than paying costs after being found guilty of breaching a public spaces protection order. He was convicted for displaying a sign quoting a psalm outside the MSI Reproductive Choices Clinic in Mattock Lane in West London on the 6th of February in 2023. Judge Catherine Vergis gave him a 1-year conditional discharge and ordered him to pay costs of over £2,000. The Christian Legal Centre, representing Mr Green, noted that the judge acknowledged the order's interference with Green's free speech rights under the European Convention, but ruled that the rights of those seeking an abortion outweighed his. Mr Green is planning to appeal to the Supreme Court. Washington, D.C. hosted the annual National Catholic Prayer Breakfast on Thursday. The event, which was established in 2004 in response to Pope St John Paul II's call for a new evangelization, began with a video message from Pope Francis. The keynote speaker of the event was Bishop William Byrne of the Diocese of Springfield in Massachusetts. In his address, he called on the faithful to deeper participation in the sacraments and imitation of the Blessed Mother in living a life of ecstatic praise. Over 1,000 faithful attended the event, along with several bishops, Catholic Church leaders, and March for Life President Jean Mancini. 2 Claretian priests who were kidnapped in the central Nigerian state of Plateau on the night of the 1st of February have been freed. Father Ken Kanwa, who is the parish priest of St Vincent de Paul Fier Church in Pangshin Diocese, and his assistant, Father Jude Nwachukwu, were released by their captors on February the 8th. Kidnapping for extortion has been a widespread problem in Nigeria in recent times. Along with priests and other religious figures, many regular citizens are also abducted. Meanwhile, in a statement, the Nigerian Bishops' Conference has expressed deep concern over security in the country, stating that no solid steps were being taken to combat the situation. In Tunisia, a boat carrying 42 Sudanese migrants sank in the Mediterranean off the coast of Sfax on Wednesday. Farid Benja, a spokesperson for the court, said 13 bodies were recovered and 27 are still missing following the incident. He revealed only 2 people on the boat survived after leaving Gibiniana, which is a commonly used jumping-off point for illegal boat journeys across the Mediterranean to Italy. The spokesperson said an investigation has begun as these migrants were likely exploited in a human trafficking case or in the formation of a criminal group to reach Europe illegally. Pope Francis has thanked priests for the service they are rendering to their diocese and their nations, and emphasised the need to be merciful, particularly when administering the sacrament of reconciliation. The Holy Father was speaking to participants at the ongoing International Conference for the Formation of Priests on Thursday. He urged them to always demonstrate the great love of Jesus and the mercy of the Blessed Mother while hearing confessions. Praising the outcomes of the conference, he urged the priests to learn from each other and from the Apostle St. Paul's advice to Timothy, which was used as the conference's theme: fan into flame the gift of God that you possess. The Catholic Bishops' Conference of India has raised concerns about the increase in attacks against Christians in different parts of the country. In a statement, they said cases of harassment against Christians based on false allegations of conversion have become common. This has included attacks against their homes and churches. The church leaders also expressed their dismay regarding the prolonged violence in the Indian state of Manipur that has resulted in a huge loss of life and livelihood. The bishops said that religious harmony is under threat due to unprecedented religious polarisation. The conference has asked each diocese to observe the 22nd of March as a day of prayer and fasting for peace and harmony in the country. And those are your latest headlines. Do join us again next time for more. And do remember, in the meantime, you can always visit swnews.org for more updates. Shalom.